Okay, so good morning, y'all. It's your girl Janae, and I feel like talking today. So, y'all, I decided to invite y'all into my Bible study that I'm having. And the reason why I decided to invite y'all in to this, I really don't know why. Because to me, reading my Bible and praying to God is very sacred. So, I don't share stuff like that unless God tells me to share it. But when I woke up this morning and was truly praising God and reading my Bible and praying, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna be very transparent. I do not read the Bible every day. I quote certain scriptures every day, but for some reason, God has brought me to the Bible. He's making me. He's making me research a certain part, and I'm gonna explain that to y'all in a moment. Well, y'all know that it's 2025, and I think today is the 11th, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I forgot what today's date is. But I never look yet. But I know it's the last 6 months of the year. So it's the second half of the year, the third quarter of the year. And so I had decided, I was like, okay, God, starting January 1st, I'm gonna start being super productive. I'm gonna start doing this, I'm gonna start doing that, and I'm gonna start doing that. And I decided that I was gonna do this and that for God, and just end the year off with a wonderful bang and woo woo woo. But immediately after I decided to do that, chaos struck. And the enemy always will attack you whenever you set your mind to do certain things that can better you. And that's how I know this is what the things that I planned is the things that I need to make sure that I complete and do, because the way the enemy attacked right after I decided to do it. So if y'all notice, I have two social media accounts. So yes, I have been going off a little bit on one of my social media accounts. I won't say it's God, but I feel like God told me to speak, because I don't really speak unless if God tells me speak. And I've been like this for a few years now. I'm 44 years old. When I made 40, a lot of my mentality changed. I think a little bit more 37-ish, but I still was a little bit rah-rah. But so now I don't speak unless God tells me speak when it comes to certain situations. And it was time. If God tells me to cut somebody off, y'all, depending on the person, I swear it might take me a little longer, but eventually it happens. So anyway, he brought me to the book of Job. Y'all, I know about Job. I think I read a little bit of the book. I don't remember, but I know for a fact I never did complete the whole book of Job. So the first thing I noticed when I opened the book, because my Bible is always on Psalms, but the first thing I noticed when I opened the book was that Job was in between Esther and Psalms. And I always wanted to really, really study Esther. And I'm like, okay, God, what are you trying to tell me? So that was just really, really, really very, very interesting to me that Job was right in the middle of these two very important books, which all of them are important, but I feel like Esther is somebody that I need to watch, to read, and understand totally. And Psalm is something that I read every single day. So when I dived into the book of Job, the first thing that they talk about is how Job was a man of God that did everything correct. He didn't sin. He didn't curse God. He prayed over his children daily for their sins. He walked in the name of God. But the thing that we need to understand the most is that in order for the devil to attack Job, he had to get God's permission. He can only go as far as God allows him to go. A lot of things brought me to this book. I was praying and just asking God, where should I go? What should I do? And I got several signs telling me Job, Job, Job. Well, many, many years ago, I had a friend who told me, she said, you remind me of Job. y'all know I had breast cancer twice, and I recovered from a lot of things. And so I took it as a compliment. And then she also said, not in the same day or the same setting, but she said, voodoo don't work on you. Witchcraft does not work on you. And I took that as a compliment as well, because back then I was naive. And I really did believe that this person loved me and was my friend. I still believe that to an extent, because we all know when people do harm to you, it's not them. It's a spirit. So you don't be mad at them at all for that. And that's another example of a Job. But now that I'm older and I research and read and really study and really learning God for myself, my question is, how do you know that? How do you know that it doesn't work on me? You know? Well, I asked her, no. She may see this. But anyway, so Job, a lot of things happened to Job. But remember, nothing could happen unless God allowed it to happen. He told the devil that he could attack Job, but he could not kill him. They took Job's children. And from what I used to think it was his oldest son, but it's his daughter and his son. Once I read today. And the first thing Job did was he tore off his robe, cut off his hair, and fell to the ground and said, naked I come from my mother's womb, naked I depart. The Lord gave it and the Lord take it away. They took his kids and he still didn't give up. He still did not. They didn't say Job. Job did get sad. He did get depressed. He did say things, as we know. He talked about how the day of he said, after this, Job opened his mouth and cursed the day of his birth. He cursed the day of his birth. He did a lot of things, but he never gave up. He never cursed God. He never turned his back on God. He never, I don't know if he questioned God. As I read through, I'm going to see, because I want facts. I want my own facts. But from what I'm seeing so far, he never gave up on God. He never cursed God. And he trusted God entirely through it all. Okay? The next day, the devil presented himself to God with the angels. So what that tells me is that even when you have hardship, downs, whatever, why are you having the hardships or downs? Maybe it's God's testing you. It's God's testing you. He's testing you to see. We don't know what he's testing us for. I'm going to learn that more into the Bible. But what I'm saying is, whenever anything that happens to you is God's will. The good and the bad and the ugly is God's wills. So what you have to do is just keep the faith. Keep trusting in God. Keep praying. Keep moving. The best way the enemy could win is if you give up on God. If you turn to evil. If you stop trusting in the Lord. If you quit. Like, everything that happens to you is God. Don't turn away from God. No matter what happens to you, never, ever, ever turn away from God. Because he will protect you. The devil cannot touch you as far as God wants him to. As we're learning in Job. So the devil even said skin for skin. Okay? He wanted Job skin for skin. And then that's when they put the bruises on Job from his head, the sole of his feet to the top of his head. And Job just sat there quiet. And guess what? 3 of Job's friends came to meet him. And they sat in silence for 7 days. Be careful talking and saying everything to your friends. Sometimes your friends just need to be there praying for you. Somebody who sits there and just lets you weep in misery all day, that is not your friend. Okay? So, the moral to the story, because I have 1 minute, I don't want these videos to be long, I might come back, is know that anything that happens to you, anything that you go through, is God's will. The best thing you could do is keep trusting in God, keep having faith, and keep moving. Because if you stop and let go of what God has placed on your life, give up on your destiny, guess what? The enemy shall win. Keep fighting and keep trusting God. Keep fighting and keep trusting God. Walk with your head in the air, knowing that God will complete it and fix it all. Don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on your goals. Go to the book of Job. Read it. Trust God. Nothing could happen that he